Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Filmmakers podcast. Filmmakers, this is a very special edition of the Filmmakers podcast this week, so stop what you're doing, put down the coffee or drink it, pull the car over or keep driving, pause the edit or don't. But today is a pinch me moment for the podcast because we're sitting down with a genuine titan of cinema. A man who didn't just write history, he changed the entire vocabulary of film. Paul Schrader. That's right, Mr. Paul Schrader. He wrote Taxi Driver, he wrote Raging Bull, he wrote The Last Temptation of Christ. But he isn't just a man behind Scorsese's masterpieces, he's a director in his own right, and he's given us some of the most provocative, stylish and intense films of the last 40 years. From American Gigolo and Mishmar to his recent modern masterpieces, First Reformed and The Card Counter. And now he's back with his new film, O Canada, which reunites him with Richard Gere for the first time in 40 years. And O Canada is a complex, heartbreaking puzzle about memory, it's about death, and the lies we tell ourselves. And myself and Dom Lenoir sat down with Paul Schrader to have a brilliant chat. He talks about his screenwriting process, his style, he gives you tips, and where his inspiration comes from, where his dialogue comes from, and why he likes to read the scene in reverse. He talks about Richard Gere and Robert De Niro, how he gave them their starts and their careers, and why now that he can get them again in his films. He also talks about casting Jacob Elordi, how that happened, and how much Jacob Elordi cost, which is very interesting to know. He talks about rehearsal process, how important that is to him, and why and how he rewrites during that rehearsal process and that rehearsal time. He talks about film language, having a shorthand with actors, and why he now shoots his films for under 20 days. He talks about Taxi Driver quite a bit. We go into detail on that, how he wrote it, and how afterwards he was catapulted into the big time. Not necessarily Hollywood big time, but definitely to the big time. So the film O Canada is based on the novel Foregone by Russell Banks, and it follows Leonard Fife, played by Richard Gere, and he's a famous leftist documentary filmmaker, and he fled to Canada to avoid the Vietnam draft. Now, he's dying of cancer, and he agrees to a final interview with his former student, Michael Imperoli, to confess the truth of his life, a truth which his wife, Uma Thurman, might not be ready to hear. This film, O Canada, it tackles the sort of unreliability of memory, and we see his life in flashbacks, where Jacob Elordi plays the young Leonard, but the memories glitch and change as the dying Leonard gets confused. This is a massive deal, because it reunites Schrader with Richard Gere for the first time since American Gigolo in 1980, and Paul Schrader said this about his recent films, First Reformed, The Card Counter and The Master Gardener. They were a loose trilogy about a man in a room waiting for something. And O Canada, to me, feels like the death of that man. And perhaps this is Paul's way of saying goodbye to that character archetype. I also think the film O Canada, it uses this unique visual style where Richard Gere sometimes appears in the flashbacks instead of Jacob Elordi. So it shows how the old man is projecting himself into the past. And, as we said, Paul Schrader, this brilliant Hollywood icon, shot O Canada in just 17 days. We talk about that too. So, let's get to it. This is myself and Dom Lenoir. I'm Giles Alderson, by the way, talking to the absolute wonder that is Paul Schrader. Now, do bear in mind, he had just woken up, so his voice is a little bit slurred, and he's not particularly well at the moment, so do bear that in mind. We have tried to get rid of the long pauses and the longer ers as much as we can in the edit, but still, you get over that, because this is a masterclass in someone incredible and someone wonderful in our filmmaking world who has made history in films. So, this is it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this very special episode of the Filmmakers podcast with the legend that is Paul Schrader.
Hello.
Hi, Paul.
Oh, how you doing, Paul? Thank you for joining us.
Yes. I didn't set the alarm, and I just assumed I'd wake up, and I just woke up.
Oh, well.
I'm glad you did. I'm very glad you did. Appreciate it. So, this is the Filmmakers podcast. We're both filmmakers, directors, writers, etc. And we go into the craft. We talk deeply about making it to help upcoming filmmakers try not to make the mistakes we made. So that's why we set this up, and that's why we do it.
Okay.
I mean, we'd love to obviously go into your whole catalogue, but obviously we've just watched Canada, which is a fantastic film.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, there's so much to discuss, like the mood, the tone, the kind of reflection on life, which I also sort of noticed in First Reformed. I mean, it'd be lovely to sort of hear about how it all started and how the project sort of began, what the genesis was.
Well, it all began because Russell Banks was a very good friend. And I usually spent a couple of weeks every summer in the Adirondacks at his place. And a couple of years ago, I called and said, what would be a good time? And he said, I don't think I can do it this year because I have cancer and it's having chemo. And it didn't sound good. I knew he had sent me a book. He had written a book about the dying process. He called it his Ivan Illich.
Yeah.
And I never read the book. I said, well, Russell's sick. I should read that book. He described in that book a death very similar to his own, even though he was completely healthy when he wrote the book. And I decided I wanted to make a film with it. And he wrote me, he said, he was having a period of improvement, and he wrote me, he said, I hope to write again, but if I do, I will never write another book about an artist dying of cancer. Because writing about it and living it are two different things. And he did die before I finished the script. And I had a rough time with COVID. I had been in the hospital 3 times in 1 year with bronchial pneumonia.
Wow.
And the last time I was in the hospital, I started thinking to myself, one of these days you're going to check in the hospital and you're not going to check out. And that didn't happen. And my health came back. But obviously it was on my mind. And then Russell died, and I read his book. And so I said, if you're going to do a film about death, you better hurry up because you can write a poem or a song about death on your deathbed, but you can't make a film on your deathbed.
Very true. And Russell Banks, he also wrote Affliction, obviously, which you adapted in 1997, right?
Yeah, and that's when we became friends.
Right. Okay. Which is nice because in this industry, it's hard to, you can meet friends, you can meet people, and they sort of stay in those little bubbles, and then over time they can fade. Whereas with Richard Gere, it might be really interesting to talk about that. You worked together, over 40 years ago on American Gigolo, and now here you are again, working again with him. I suppose it's to talk about friendships in film and the longevity of filmmaking and those people you can connect with.
Well, with Richard, he took off. I mean, I have a kind of hard scrabble, independent career. Richard went into a phase where he became highly paid a star.
Star.
So he was out of my price range for the kind of film I made,
Right.
so just like De Niro,
Yeah, they're both. I mean, yeah, what you've done to their careers, both of them.
Yeah, I mean, like Bobby only works for money.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's very upfront about that.
Right.
But Richard was starting to be on the back side of his career, and so I thought that I could approach him because he wasn't getting those big paydays anymore.
Right, I see.
And sure enough, he read the script, and he was able to do it for the fee that I could finance.
Yeah, on Air Canada. Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. Had you wanted to work with him, between that time, had you wanted to, like you said, you couldn't afford him.
I just put it out of my mind because he was knocking down X million dollars of film, and I wasn't making those kind of films. Yeah, and so you just don't think about it.
Do you sort of have in general, like working with casting directors? Are there ever people that maybe are in that bracket, but you're having discussions? You're like, I really want this person. I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to try and get them for my indie movie and see if they'll do it. Or do you just sort of move on and just say, okay, no, this
You
person's
move on. You don't go to Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I mean that you waste 3 months of your life waiting to get a no. I mean, it's that simple. If you have a backdoor communication, you can get a kind of feeling. But it's like I said, Canada. I wrote Bobby De Niro, and I said, Bob, written the script. I think it's perfect for you. I'll only send it on 3 conditions. One, that you read it right away. 2, that you give me an answer in 2 weeks. And 3, that you understand my financial parameters. And he said, he wrote back and he said, 1 and 2 I agreed to, but not 3.
Good for Bob De Niro.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta admire the honesty, if nothing else. I mean, it's but it's nice to have that level of communication with that kind of a wonderful actor. And watching it with Richard Gere, I think he did such a fantastic job. Maybe sometimes it works out for the best in those situations.
Yeah, often you hire people and they blow up. I've had this with cinematographers and editors. You hire them and you're giving them their first job, their second job, and then you come back 2-3 years later and you can't afford it.
Yeah, it can happen, can't it? It's so interesting how stars can break out, and it really has happened with you quite a bit.
Oh, Jacob Elordi.
I was going to say, he's massive, big star, Jacob Elordi.
We paid him $35,000 to do O Canada.
Wow, that's wow, what a fee! He must have wanted to work with you, because that's for him that's quite low. I'm sure his agent now will be going, please bleep that out.
Add 2 zeros onto that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wouldn't even ask him. I mean, this is his moment, and he has to monetize his life. If he doesn't, he's a fool.
Yeah, exactly. He does, and the fact that he's worked with you on this is great. I think it's perfect for him, for his career.
Yeah.
It's a really good choice. When you approached him, because obviously for our indie filmmakers out there at the moment, someone like Jacob Elordi is very hard to get, and we'd love to work with someone like him. How did you approach it? Did you approach it, we've got Richard Gere, this is what we've got, do you want to do it, and send him the script? How do you approach it?
I didn't know who he was.
Okay.
And
then 35 grand's a lot.
I said to the casting, I'm looking for someone to play younger Richard, who has that same kind of charisma. And they recommended Jake, and they sent me some footage on him. And then I Zoomed with him, and I thought it would work. And then I was having dinner with Bret Easton Ellis. And I said, I'm looking for... Bret has a thing about American Gigolo, and he's written about it and talks about it. And I said to Bret that I was looking to cast a young Richard Gere actor to play with Richard. And Bret said, no, you're not going to find him. No.
Yeah.
There is no young Richard Gere. And I said, well, I just Zoomed with an interesting actor named Jacob Elordi. And Brett said, stop right there. I just came in my pants.
I need to go clean up,
There we go.
So you were like, well, all right, he'll do then.
So I mean, let's talk about like how you like to have those first conversations beyond that sort of moment. Like, what do you love to do when you've like, okay, Richard, Jacob, they're signed up, they're on the movie. Like, what's your first bit of communication with them about the film? Like, do you like to sort of have a general chinwag about the script? Do you like to talk about character stuff? Do you like to do rehearsals? Like, what's your sort of process into that collaboration and sort of feeling them out?
Well, you have some general lead-up conversations to make sure that you're on the same page. You will rewrite, of course, because that's part of the directing process. But I like rehearsal. And you go to rehearsal, you have a table read, and you rehearse from about 9 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. And then you go back and you rewrite. And then you go to start rehearsing again and bring in new pages and change pages and rehearse again the next day. So the script gets effectively rewritten during the rehearsal process. You learn what the actors are good at, what they're not good at. You learn things that should have been done differently in the script. It's a collaborative mutation of the script.
Yeah. What were some of maybe the sort of general broad strokes that those, especially with those two sort of main characters in the script, what sort of changed after those conversations? I mean, it sounds like you're really sort of getting into like understanding the scene, how the character behaves, what kind of things come out of their mouth, and rather than going too deep into the emotion before the shooting.
Yeah, well, I mean, just as they read it, you can if they're struggling with a little bit of a speech, if it's written by Shakespeare, then you've got to make them read it better. But if it's written by you just rewrite it because you know what they're good at, their phraseology. You say, is he struggling to have that little speech? I'll tinker with it a bit.
That must be so interesting, I think, because not many filmmakers get that opportunity. The director might get the rehearsal time, but often the screenwriter isn't there, especially in indie film level. And obviously you're doing both. That must be really nice and a really pleasant experience. How long do you do it for? Is it a week, 2 weeks?
Yeah, I used to do it 2 weeks. I do it a week. And in fact, the most interesting case I had was on Comfort of Strangers, which was written by Harold Pinter from the Ian McEwan novel. All the actors wanted me to. They were having trouble with Harold's phraseology, and they wanted me to rewrite it because they knew I was a writer. And I happened to like Harold, and I liked the way it was written. I didn't want to rewrite it. So in that particular case, we were in Rome, and I said to Harold, let's have 2 weeks of rehearsal. You come down the first week. You do the first week. I'll just sit there. And then you'll leave, and I'll do the second week. So that's what we did. And so Harold did the first week of rehearsal. And he's a real bully, an East End Jewish bully. And he cowed them all. Natasha Richardson at one point said, I'm in Venice with my boyfriend, and my children are with my mother, but they're not the children of my boyfriend. what is my relationship to the father of my children? Is he alive? Is he dead? Whatever. Harold said, I have never answered a question like that, and I never will. Read the text. So after a week of that, and they all want changes in the script. A week of that, I came back and I said, well, Big Daddy went back to London, and I know you all have concerns about the script, so let's talk about it. And Chris Walken thought for a while and said, I kind of like it the way it is. And Helen Miller said, yeah, me too. I like it the way it is. We didn't make any changes.
Do you think, what you said there was really interesting about not knowing everything. I mean, I think maybe for actors, that's like a very important thing for the actor to not know exactly what they're going to do, because otherwise the audience will know what they do. What do you sort of feel about that as a director and a storyteller? Like, do you like to, keep that openness for interpretation in your work in general?
Well, there is a point in every film, essentially, where you have to say to the actor, he opens his mouth and these words come out. I don't know why he says this. I'm not sure, but I know he does. And because it's kind of self-contradictory, it's kind of odd. And then the actor has to sort of go through his own thinking and figure out why he says that. And sometimes the actor will tell you. Most times they don't. They just figure out how to do it. The contradiction is the heart and soul of character. I loved her so much I hit her. That's character. I loved her so much I hit her twice. That's even more character. We do things that are against our own best interests for reasons that we don't understand. And sooner or later, the characters I write come around to that.
Yeah, you have this wonderful way with your dialogue too, with these characters that are, confused and dark and twisted, but have this soul to them. And I suppose I just wanted to touch back on the Richard Gere thing as well. It's like I say, it's been quite a while since you were in that rehearsal room with him, or even if you did get to do that the first on American Gigolo. Had that changed? Like, he had been a star. He's still a star, but like I say, you can afford him now. Did you have the same film language to talk to each other with? Do you have the shorthand?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised because it was very, very similar. And then I have a film I've completed that I do the final mix on next week, and he came back and did a cameo for that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, lovely.
That's really nice of him. Yeah, that's a really nice roundabout way. And what's about your shorthand with other actors? With Jacob Elordi, for instance, obviously it's the first time you've worked with him. How did you create that director-actor relationship? And how do you do that generally?
Well, first of all, he's an actor. And I was once talking with Anthony Perkins, and Elias Kazan had written a book where he said, acting is 75% casting.
Mm-hmm.
I said that to Tony, and Tony said, no, Gadge is wrong. Acting is 90% casting. So if you cast the right person, the right role, the right time of their life, all you have to do is watch, guide, and advise them. You're not going to create a performance. They're going to create a performance. And if you cast them wrong, there's almost nothing you can do. You can try. You can go. I did cast a couple of films wrong. I cast one film with Woody Harrelson wrong. After a week, I knew it. Woody knew it. we couldn't stop because we were making a film, but we both knew he was miscast. And there's not much you can do about that.
What do you do to make sure they're not miscast in the first place? What is it you look for, I suppose?
Well, the thing is, the reason you miscast people is because you get a green light.
Yeah, get excited. We're making a movie.
I mean, Woody would not have been my choice for that film. I wanted Steve Martin, I wanted Nathan Lane, and then Woody heard about it and got it from his agent and said he wanted to do it, and all of a sudden it was a green light. It was a gold. It was a gold picture, and even though I didn't think Woody was quite right for it, I thought, our directors are alpha types, and your mindset is, give me a whip and give me a chair, and I'll put me in that cage with a lion, and I'll come out on top. Well, sometimes the lion wins.
Wants a meal.
Yeah, exactly.
What else have you learned other than this? I mean, anything that sort of pops to mind since doing, this and Taxi Driver, like up into your sort of more recent work over the last sort of five years or so. Like, how have you changed as a director? Maybe your process, or maybe like mistakes that you've learned? Because I mean, that was a great example just then.
Well, it's been a huge change, but it's all driven by technology. So when I began, you would shoot a film in 45, 46 days. Today, you shoot it in 20.
Oh, less.
Old Canada was 17.
Wow.
First Reformed was 20. Cloud Connor was 19. Canyons was 13. And you get more footage, more raw footage in 20 days than you used to get in 40. Because you're not using film anymore. And the lighting goes very fast. It's just slap out these lights, and the cinematographer uses his iPad, can change the color of the lights, change the intensity of all the lights simply on his iPad. We used to have trailers because everything took so long. I haven't used a trailer in years because by the time you get back to it, there's somebody running behind you saying, Mr. Schrader, we're ready. Most of the time, actors don't even leave the set. They just hang out. It used to be you would go out in the morning and block a scene, and the cinematographer would want 2 hours, and you would then go into your trailer for 2 hours. But so we just, part of that was good because good things happen while you're killing time, but mostly I think it was bad. Trailer time is not very creative time.
It's true.
And but just to show you how different the industry has changed. The film The Graduate?
Yep.
They shot that in 100 days.
Wow.
That was a different system back then. And many items, like you'd have to protect a take because you didn't know what would happen in the lab. So even if you had a perfect take, you have to have a second perfect take in case the first one got destroyed.
Wow.
Well, you don't need that anymore. You just see that it exists.
Yes, it exists. It's there, digital form. Yeah. And it's very unlikely it's not going to be there. With that, then, have you changed your style in terms of, especially watching O Canada, with quite a lot of wider two shots, which were really nice, drifty shots. Did you do less coverage on purpose, or was that a stylistic choice?
A stylistic choice. it's one of those character studies where you don't want to be very aggressive. I wrote this book on transcendental style,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the aspects of that was quotidien, the mundaneness of life. You get into the rhythm of nothing much really happens, and then something happens. And so these kind of films, often you hang around a little too long to create a pace.
Yeah.
Well, I give you an example. Bresson used to do this. A fellow exits a room. Now, normally, editor drops the splice as the door closes. Bresson, the door closes. 1, 2, 3, cut. Now, for 3 seconds, you're looking at a door. Nothing is happening, or so you think. But something is happening. Time is happening. And Bresson is fucking around with time. And your perception of time and your conception of what a movie time is to change you as a viewer.
Now, going back a little bit, if you don't mind, in terms of your journey, the Yakuza was supposed to script that launched you, which you co-wrote with your brother, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Which then led to Taxi Driver, because I think there was Sidney Pollack directed it, and there was a big fee, as far as I can see, in terms of my research. Talk us through
No,
that.
I had written Taxi Driver as self-therapy. I had went through a rough patch, and I actually was afraid of becoming that character.
Wow.
So I decided I better write about it. So it wasn't written with anything commercial in mind. It was written as self-therapy.
Wow.
And then I drifted around the country to sort of get myself back together. And I got a letter when I was in North Carolina from my brother who had gone to Japan as a missionary to avoid Vietnam. And like me, he had lost his job, lost his wife, lost his faith. And he had taken to watching these Japanese gangster movies.
Right.
And so he wrote me this long letter of Yakuza and the stars and the Shutikoji Fujijuku. And I read this long letter. And I thought to myself, Bruce Lee had just died. And I thought, everybody wants to find a new Bruce Lee. What if the Bruce Lee is Japanese? I knew this literary agent in Los Angeles. I called him up and I suggested this. And he said, I'll pay for you and your brother to write this. And so he came back and we started around Thanksgiving. And in February, it sold for the highest price in the history of Hollywood. So all of a sudden, I was just catapulted into the big time. And I knew, that was a moment to seize. And I just wrote. Now, I had already had Taxi Driver, which was not a commercial script by any means. But and I went back to reviewing. I had been a film reviewer.
Yeah.
And I was interviewing Brian De Palma, and I said, Brian, I wrote a script once. And he said, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Yeah, I get this every day. Please stop, Paul.
And then finally at the end of it, he said, okay, I'll read your script. And so I gave it to him, and then he gave it to Marty. And he said, Marty, this isn't for me, but I think it's for you. And so that's how that started. And so Uh, Sydney made Yakuza, but my creative career, then I worked for Brian, and then uh, and we did coming more for Marty.
Did you sort of ever have a moment after any of those sort of initial successes where you thought, okay, this isn't going as planned, or this is taking longer than expected to get the next big hit? I mean, were there any sort of downs or maybe changes in your course?
I've been kind of fortunate. I've never had. I've never been an A-lister in terms of Hollywood, so I had to learn how to work on the small side, which is fine with me. Scorsese gave an interview once where he said I like to paint frescoes. I like to paint the walls, the ceiling, the floors, everything. Paul does Dutch miniatures. So
That's a great quote.
and so by having those restraints financially, I can have a kind of a career and Final Cut and have satisfaction, but I've never really been in the big arena of big budget Hollywood films.
That's interesting. From our side of it, it is you are one of the big players. There's only so many screenwriters from our generation you can name from the previous generation, and you're one of them. And so again, like you say, it's interesting from our side to hear that actually you were playing in the smaller leagues. You weren't doing the big Hollywood blockbusters.
I'm talking about budget.
Yes, that's what I mean. And would you have wanted to, of course, in terms of your films are very well revered, but in terms of budgets, would you have wanted to do that? Because your films are so small and intimate and intriguing and have all those.
That's a very good question, and I've thought about it often. As I refined my, you know what a setup is when you do the film?
Yeah.
Yes.
Every setup in Canada is in the film. There is nothing on the editing floor.
Oh, we didn't cut anything out. Wow. Okay.
Actually, it's cut on the set in my head.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
Now, normal Hollywood, you do master, reverse master, and do a lot of coverage, and they kind of figure it out in the editing room.
Yeah.
But since I have such tight budgets, I pre-cut it. So I just shoot the cuts.
See,
interesting.
And sometimes if a character has a 3 or 4 minute scene and he only has a couple of lines in the scene, I'll just do the lines.
The Coen brothers do that as well. That's really interesting. Does that not restrict you in the edit though? If you're going,
you end up kicking yourself in the edit.
Right, okay.
But you do make the budget.
And you do make the time. You make it on time in the 20 days you had for O Canada. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And also, if I remember, I was shooting a scene one day on a light sleeper, and we had a 3-shot. I had a swinging lamp a la conformist. And it was a nice 3-shot, but I really liked it. And we were scheduled to go in and do overs and singles. And I said to the AD, I said, this next scene we're doing, 2 doors down on location, how ready is that set? Can that set be ready in an hour? And they said, yeah, I can. I said, let's go over there. Let's start tomorrow's work right now, because I like this 3-shot, and if I cover it, I know I'll use the coverage. And if I walk away from it, I'll be stuck with it.
Just going on to you talked about the edit and the shots, but the mood is also very, very specific in this. Like the lighting choices, the way you sort of handle certain perspectives, like with the angles, and also the lighting and the flashbacks, and also the music. There's a very deliberate sort of nice melancholic sort of streak through the music. Were those decisions? At what point did those decisions sort of come in? I'm guessing the visual side early, but I don't know about the soundtrack.
Well, I liked Phosphorescent, and I had seen them live, and I thought that it would be good for this film to have a song cycle, which I did in Light Sleeper, and I also did it in Cloud Connor, which is you have one artist writing a series of songs and performing them, so that it becomes an additional voice for the character. The character has his diary voice, his voice over. He has his dialogue voice. And then he has his singing voice, which is sung by someone else. And so you have three channels of expression for the character. And so that you're trying to get at his inner voice through the songs. And of course, the ratio of song lyrics to character is much different. And, songwriting is not explicit. It's poetic logic.
Yeah.
It's not real logic. It's Car House Moon. That's the kind of logic it is.
Yeah.
And so then you work on it with the singer, in this case Matthew Houck. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the flashbacks and the lighting sort of choices.
Now I have to be careful here because I've done a film since. I don't want to confuse it. I did a film called Basics of Philosophy.
Yeah, Basics of Philosophy. Yeah, that's when you're in post on that, isn't it?
Yeah, and don't want to confuse the two.
Okay, good. So that one was Bill Pullman and Sophie Botella. And O Canada is Richard Gere and Uma Thurman.
Yeah.
I guess it's like the young versions of Richard Gere and his wife when she.
And they both have black and white flashbacks in them.
Yes. Andrew Wonder was your cinematographer on it. He made it look incredible.
Yeah.
Really did. Yeah.
Yeah. And we tried to use these different tableaus. The interview room is this dark kind of Godfather, Gordy Willis thing. The flashbacks are bright Owen Reisman. And then the black and white, there are two levels of flashbacks. There's a chronological level, which is bright, and then there's a random level, which is in black and white. And that is much more like Naruse, somebody like that. So we would shoot at different film styles over the course of the day.
And how much prep time do you work through with Andrew, your DOP, on stuff like that? Do you spend months before talking through various films like you have done and get shot lists and get images? Do you sit and work that way?
Yeah. Sometimes you don't have the luxury of having months, but you start thinking about it. I'm going to do a film in April, and after the new year, I'll get a cinematographer and we'll start talking about films and reference films. There's certain films that I return to every time just because they're visually invigorating. I watch Conformists.
Yes.
Most every time, just because you can't watch that film without getting ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you watch any of your own films for inspiration and reference sometimes?
No,
Okay.
no. And I don't watch them for any much reason either. Although I just got back from Tokyo, and they had the belated, by 40 years, premiere of Mishima in Tokyo, because it had been de facto banned for 40 years.
Right.
And so I saw it for the first time in 40 years. It was the first time I saw it with a Japanese audience, because it had never been shown in Japan. The audience that didn't have to read the subtitles. And that was exciting.
That must have been exciting. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see things in there that they sort of went, oh, wow, I did that? Make you proud of it.
Or,
Yeah.
Or horrified. Which-
Mostly you're pleasantly surprised. You say, that was smart. I was smart. And then occasionally you say, oh,
Yeah, who did that?
yeah,
not me.
Yeah.
I missed a shot. Or often you just say, I missed a shot.
Mm.
I should have, you know, I should have moved on the shot instead of stayed static.
Mm.
And what about your screenwriting process? How do you break it down? Do you just write? Do you do scriptment? How does it work? And has it changed?
I don't write till I know it all.
Okay, explain that.
I mean, I'll tell you. I can tell you what's going to happen on page 55.
Really, down to that detail. Wow.
I start by outlining,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll show you in a second. I start by outlining, and then you tell the outline.
Okay.
So usually it'll be maybe 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, you're telling the story. And then every time you tell the story, you read the outline.
Right.
And you tell it again. Now, here's the outline for Mosquito Coast. Can you see that?
So Paul's holding up his phone. Yeah, and it's got, okay, yeah, can just about see that.
Wow.
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 Yeah, so it's full detail, script
That's very
page
detailed. Yeah.
numbered all the way along.
And it has the red lines are scenes I've written.
Mhm.
So I go, and I have a projected page count. So I project the script. I forget this one. I have projected at about 107. And so that if you're writing a scene and you project this scene will hit at about 65,
Mhm.
and you're at 55,
Mm.
you've got to rethink. What is it better that I got here quicker? Or is it worse for the story that I got here quicker? Should I back up and add a scene or two? Or should I think about adding something in the future to get to feature film length? But that would be an extreme example. Usually, if you estimate a scene at 2 3/4 pages, it's going to come in at 2.5, 3, somewhere in that area. And I compare it to a marathoner who has a route at his watch. And when I pass the pink house, I should be at 12 and a half minutes. And if I'm at 12 minutes, maybe I'm running too fast. And I'm 13, maybe I'm running too slow.
Did you always have this skill, or was this something that you? I mean, going back to like your first scripts, like was this always like understanding how long something was going to take in your mind, or is that like a skill you really developed through mass writing?
Well, it's because fairly quickly on, I realized that screenwriting was not a form of writing, but in fact was a form of the oral tradition. And it's a form of storytelling. And you have to tell the story. And if you can tell a story that holds somebody's attention for 45 minutes, you have a movie. And you just keep retelling it. And whenever somebody's attention
Wanes.
flags,
Flags. Yeah.
you see they're looking away, or I'm thinking, throw something in. You can get their attention back, and then you re-outline it based on that until finally you have an outline that really works. And in that case, you start telling it, and you get about 2/3 the way through, and you go to the bathroom if you're at a coffee shop, and you come back and change the subject. Well, if the other person doesn't say, well, what happens next? You're in trouble.
Yeah. And the same with the dialogue on that then, because your dialogue's so sharp and clever. And I know you said earlier you work through with the actors in rehearsal sometimes, but when you're writing it, where does your inspiration for dialogue come from with each character?
Well, there's a saying that music happens between the notes, and something in dialogue happens between the lines. And dialogue is often about what is not said, or what is said unnecessarily. And when I would teach screenwriting and give a dialogue assignment, I would always have 2 students read the scene in reverse. Last line first, second to last line second, so that the answers are being read before the questions.
Okay.
And it's always more interesting. Because it's so oblique and mysterious, the character says, a bright sunny day, and the next character says, what was the weather like? That's more interesting.
It's very more interesting. It's like they weren't listening. I just told you. Oh my gosh. Well, look, Paul, this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Oh Canada is another great film in your wonderful collection. I can't wait to see the next one. Dom has one final question for you, even though you've given us so much advice.
Yes.
Paul Schrader, thank you. But here's the last question for you.
Yeah, just if there was one piece of advice to director, screenwriter out there. Yeah, I mean, as Giles said, you've given us so many bits of insight, but one more thing that you haven't mentioned that you might travel back in time to tell your early self about.
Well, I mean, if you can find personal satisfaction in any other field, go to that field. There's only one reason to get into the arts, is because you don't have any choice. And a lot of kids don't want to. Well, there's a line in O Canada where Jake says he wanted to be a writer, but he didn't really want to write.
Yeah, I love that line. Yeah.
And that's a lot of people. They want to be filmmakers, but they don't want to actually
do the
create.
Yeah.
So, unless you're willing to write, for an audience of one, and finally in the end, it said, I can't go to work tomorrow unless I write something tonight. I don't know how I'll wake up, or whatever. So, it has to be a necessary thing, and it's not a cosmetic choice.
That's very good. I like that.
Very good.
It's been a wonderful reflection back in Canada, and also going through your very good career. So it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All righty. Thank you much.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul Schrader. Take care.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And if you are lucky enough to rise up and do well as Paul Schrader has done, it is your duty to send the elevator back down. We will see you all next Tuesday, as always. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Dom.
Thanks, Giles.
Take care, everyone. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.